The stars had always been a source of wonder for humanity. From the moment humans first gazed up at the sky, they dreamed of exploring the endless reaches of space. But no one had imagined that their dreams would be shattered so quickly. The year was 2150, and Earth was on the brink of disaster. It had started as a routine day. The sun rose over the planet, casting its golden light on cities, towns, and fields. People were going about their usual business, some preparing for work, others taking their children to school, and many enjoying the serenity of another peaceful morning. The last few decades had been peaceful for Earth. Humanity had grown more united, advancing in technology, health, and space exploration. No one had foreseen that their unity would soon be tested by a force beyond their imagination. Suddenly, without warning, the skies began to darken. At first, it was just a small dot, a flicker in the sky. But that grew larger, and in a matter of hours, the sky was filled with enormous ship-sailing vessels descending from the heavens like ominous shadows. They were massive, bigger than anything humanity had ever seen. Cities that had once been beacons of progress now lay beneath the shadow of these strange, overwhelming invaders. The alien ships did not communicate. They did not announce their arrival. Instead, they unleashed their devastating weapons on Earth's defenses. Cities were obliterated in seconds, and every attempt to fight back seemed futile. Earth's best military forces, equipped with cutting-edge technology, could not even scratch the alien ships' hulls. Nothing had ever been able to match the power of these invaders. Amid the chaos, a young soldier named Alex stared up at the sky from the roof of his apartment building in New York City. His heart raced, and his breath came in short bursts. He had heard about the alien fleet on the news, but seeing it with his own eyes was an entirely different experience. It was one thing to hear about an invasion, but it was another to witness the destruction firsthand. Alex had been trained for moments like this. As part of the Earth Defense Forces EDF, he had spent years preparing for the unimaginable. But this was beyond anything his training had prepared him for. His team, a group of soldiers who had grown close over the years, had been deployed to protect the city. They had been waiting for orders, but none came. Instead, the city fell silent as the first wave of attacks began. Buildings crumbled, and the ground shook beneath their feet. The sky was alive with explosions. For a brief moment, Alex thought he saw a flash of light in the distance, another ship descending. But the thought quickly disappeared as a massive shockwave hit the city. It knocked Alex off his feet and sent him crashing to the ground. He struggled to get up, hearing the sounds of people screaming and vehicles exploding. "Get up, Alex. We need to move," came a voice through his gums. It was his best friend, Sarah, a fellow soldier in the EDF. She sounded breathless, frantic. "The city's gone. We have to get to the base." Alex nodded, even though Sarah couldn't see him. He struggled to stand, grabbing his rifle and rushing to meet her. The streets were in chaos. People were running in every direction, and military vehicles were speeding by, some of them carrying wounded soldiers, others racing to engage the alien forces. There was no way to predict what would happen next. No one knew how to fight back against these invaders. Humanity was facing its greatest test. Sarah and Alex made their way to a nearby underground bunker. It was one of the few safe places left. The military had been preparing for an attack like this, though no one had ever expected the enemy to be so powerful. The door to the bunker slammed shut behind them. The pair descended into the depths below the Earth's surface. Inside, the atmosphere was tense. Soldiers, civilians, and government officials huddled together, many of them shaking with fear. The bunker was not a fortress. It was a place of last resort, built for situations like this. But it was clear to Alex that it wouldn't be enough. The alien ships were far too powerful, and the Earth's defenses were crumbling. The invaders weren't just here to conquer. They were here to wipe out humanity. "Where's General Carter?" Alex asked, looking around the crowded room. General Carter was one of the highest-ranking officers in the EDF. He would have a plan, he had to. A soldier nearby pointed to the far end of the bunker, where a small group of officers stood. Alex and Sarah made their way over, pushing through the crowds. They arrived just in time to hear the general speaking. "We're not giving up. General Carter said, his voice loud and confident, despite the uncertainty around him. Humanity has always faced impossible odds and found a way to survive. This time will be no different. We're going to fight back. We will use everything we have to push these invaders out. But we need everyone. We need the best we've got. We need soldiers who are ready to stand together no matter what. Alex's heart raced as he heard the words. It was the kind of speech that inspired soldiers to fight, to give everything for the survival of the human race. But he knew it wouldn't be easy. The odds were against them. Still, he couldn't help but feel a spark of hope. Maybe they could win. Maybe humanity could find a way to outsmart the invaders. Sarah, Alex whispered, turning to his friend. We have to fight. We can't just sit here and wait to die. I agree, Sarah said, nodding. We've trained for this moment. It's time to show them what we're made of. The general's voice cut through the murmur of voices. All soldiers are to report to the command center. We're launching Operation Phoenix. Alex felt a shiver run down his spine at the name. Operation Phoenix was a last-ditch effort to reclaim Earth. It was a mission designed to strike at the heart of the invaders' power. If it failed, humanity would be lost. But if it succeeded, they could turn the tide of the war. He and Sarah exchanged a look, both knowing that this mission would be their hardest challenge yet. They would have to rely on their training, their strength, and their courage. It was the last chance humanity had to survive. As they made their way to the command center, Alex's mind raced. What would they find when they reached the alien ships? Would they be able to fight back? Would they be able to survive long enough to stop the invasion? He didn't know the answers, but one thing was certain. He was ready to give everything for the future of humanity. The command center was abuzz with activity. Soldiers rushed to and fro, organizing weapons, coordinating communication systems, and preparing for the operation that would decide the fate of humanity. The large underground facility felt alive with the sound of hard work and tense anticipation. Alex and Sarah stood at the back of the room, their eyes scanning the large map of the Earth displayed on the main wall. It showed the locations of the alien ships that had arrived, their ominous shapes hanging above cities all over the world. Each ship was a powerful weapon, nearly indestructible, and humanity's attempts to defend itself had proven futile. Yet, despite the overwhelming odds, there was one last plan. General Carter stood at the front of the room, his face grim but determined. He was in the middle of briefing a group of soldiers on the details of Operation Phoenix, a mission designed to cripple the alien forces and give humanity a fighting chance. The room fell silent as the general began speaking. Operation Phoenix will require every soldier, every resource, and every bit of ingenuity we have left. Our primary target is the core of the alien ships, their central power source. If we destroy that, the ships will be rendered useless, and we may have a chance to push them back. Alex exchanged a glance with Sarah. The general was right. If they could disable the alien ships, the invaders would be thrown into chaos. However, the mission was far from simple. No one knew exactly what the alien ships were made of or how they operated. Every attempt to attack them had failed miserably, and time was running out. We've gathered intel from survivors, and we've learned that the invaders have a weakness, a single point of vulnerability on their ships. It's located at the center of each ship, deep within their core. Our task is to infiltrate one of these ships, locate the power source, and destroy it. Sarah's heart raced as she listened. This was it. The moment they had all been waiting for, that the last chance to save Earth. The plan was daring, dangerous, and nearly impossible. But it was their only hope. Alex, Sarah, you too will be part of the infiltration team, General Carter said, looking directly at them. I've chosen you because of your combat experience and your ability to think on your feet. You'll be dropped directly onto the alien ship. Once inside, you'll need to find the power core and plant the explosive charges. Then, you'll escape before the ship goes down. Alex nodded, his mind racing. It was a suicide mission, but it was also the most important mission of his life. If they succeeded, humanity might survive. If they failed, Earth would be lost. Understood, General, Alex said. Sarah gave him a determined look. Her jaw set in a way that showed she was ready for whatever lay ahead. Good, the general replied, his voice firm. You'll be briefed on the specifics of the ship's layout and the explosives. Time is short and every second counts. Get ready. The fate of humanity is in your hands. Hours later, the soldiers prepared for the mission. The underground base was filled with soldiers, scientists, and engineers all working together, trying to ensure the success of Operation Phoenix. Alex, Sarah, and the rest of the infiltration team suited up in their advanced combat gear. Checking their weapons and equipment one last time, Alex felt a heavy weight in his chest as he tightened the straps of his suit. It was a tight fit, but the gear was built for maximum mobility and protection. The helmet was equipped with a HUD heads-up display, allowing them to track their positions and communicate with the command center. They were ready, but the fear of the unknown still lingered in the back of his mind. "Do you think we can do this?" Sarah asked quietly, looking at Alex. Her voice was calm, but there was a hint of concern in her eyes. Alex didn't answer immediately. He was thinking about the sheer size of the task ahead of them. Infiltrating an alien ship wasn't like any mission he had ever faced. They had no idea how the aliens would respond to their presence. Would they be able to get past the defenses? Would they even survive long enough to destroy the power core? "I think we have to," Alex finally replied. "It's our only chance. We're the only ones who can do this." Sarah nodded, though her face remained serious. She had always been someone who could face danger without hesitation, but this mission was unlike any other. This time, the stakes were higher. This time, failure meant the end of everything. The next few minutes passed in a blur. The team boarded the transport ship that would take them to the alien vessel. The ship was designed for stealth, able to approach the enemy without detection, at least for a short time. As they lifted off from the underground base, Alex looked out the small window. Seeing the city of New York fading into the distance, the alien ships hovered above it, casting long shadows over the city. The world would never be the same again. We're about to enter enemy territory. The commander of the transport ship announced over the intercom. "Stay alert. This will be a bumpy ride." The ride was indeed rough. The transport ship bounced and jolted as it approached the alien fleet. Alex's heart pounded in his chest, and his thoughts raced. They were getting closer to the alien ship, and every second brought them closer to the danger of discovery. Suddenly, a loud alarm blared throughout the ship. The crew member at the controls cursed under his breath. "We've been detected. We have minutes at best," he shouted. The ship swerved violently as it attempted to dodge incoming alien fire. Alex felt his stomach lurch as they plummeted toward the surface of the alien ship. It was massive, dark, and covered in strange, pulsating lights that seemed to shift as they got closer. The ship's surface was like nothing Alex had ever seen smooth, metallic, and alive in a way that felt alien and unnatural. The transport ship shuddered as it was hit by a blast. But the pilot managed to keep control. They were getting closer. Alex could see the opening in the ship's surface, now a large hatch that would lead them inside. "Brace for impact." The commander yelled. The transport ship slammed into the alien vessel, sending Alex and the others flying forward. Alex quickly recovered, pulling himself up and checking his gear. They were inside. "Let's move," Sarah shouted, her voice full of urgency. The team quickly exited the ship, weapons raised, moved toward the ship's inner structure. They had made it inside the alien ship, but now the real danger began. Every moment counted. Alex could hear the faint sound of alien footsteps in the distance, echoing through the cold, metallic corridors. "We've got to find the power core," Alex said, his voice low and focused. "Stay sharp, everyone."
S.
They moved deeper into the alien ship. Alex couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The alien vessel felt more like a living creature than a machine, its walls shifting and pulsing as if it was aware of their presence. The team moved silently through the corridors, using their advanced technology to stay hidden from the alien patrols. They knew that one mistake could cost them everything. "Nearly there," Sarah whispered, her eyes scanning the hallway. "We need to make it to the core chamber, but it won't be easy." The pressure was mounting. Time was running out. They could only hope that their training and the plan would be enough to save humanity from extinction. The deep hum of the alien ship's machinery filled the air as Alex and the infiltration team navigated the narrow corridors. Every step felt like a risk. The ship, or whatever it truly was, seemed to shift and pulse, almost alive beneath their feet. The walls were smooth, metallic, covered with strange symbols that glowed faintly in the dim light. Alex's heart pounded in his chest as they moved forward. They were getting closer to the core, the heart of the enemy's power, and with every step, the tension grew. The mission was simple in its objective: destroy the power core, disrupt the aliens' ability to control their ships, and give humanity a fighting chance. But the path to success was anything but simple. They had no idea how the aliens would respond to their intrusion. The clock was ticking. "We're almost there," Sarah whispered, her voice steady despite the danger. "Just a little farther and we'll reach the core chamber." Alex nodded but didn't speak. His thoughts were focused solely on the task at hand. They had trained for this moment, but nothing could truly prepare them for the unknown. They had to trust their instincts, their equipment, and each other. As they rounded a corner, the air grew colder. A low, almost menacing hum filled the corridor. The ship seemed to be aware of their presence, as if it was alive, reacting to their every movement. Alex could feel a tension in the air that was both unnatural and unsettling. They were being watched. "Stay sharp," Alex murmured, his hand tightening around the grip of his weapon. The others fell silent, their eyes scanning the surroundings for any signs of movement. They reached a large door, its surface covered with shifting patterns of light. It seemed to pulse in rhythm with the ship's heartbeat. Alex motioned for the team to stop. This was it. Beyond this door was the core chamber, the heart of the alien vessel. He stepped forward, placing a hand on the door. It opened with a soft hiss, revealing a vast room filled with strange, glowing machinery. At the center of the room stood a massive, pulsating core bright, glowing with a blinding light, the source of the ship's power. The core seemed to throb, sending ripples through the air, as though it were alive. Alex's eyes locked onto the core, his breath catching in his throat. This was their chance. This was humanity's last hope. "Let's move," Alex said, his voice steady but filled with urgency. The team moved quickly, positioning themselves around the core. They had no time to waste. Sarah pulled out the explosive charges, her hands moving swiftly as she set them around the base of the core. Alex kept a lookout, his eyes darting around the room, every sense alert for any sign of danger. "This is it," Sarah whispered, her voice tense but focused. "Once we set these, we have to get out of here fast." "Do it," Alex replied. "We don't have much time." Sarah's fingers flew over the controls, setting the timers for the explosives. Each one clicked into place, and she quickly moved back to the team's position. The countdown had begun. Alex could hear the soft beeping of the devices, each one counting down to the moment of destruction. Suddenly, a loud mechanical hiss echoed through the chamber. The doors slammed shut behind them, and the room was filled with the sound of heavy footsteps. Alex's heart skipped a beat. "They know we're here," he said urgently. "Move now." The team rushed toward the exit, but the door didn't open. It was sealed shut. Alex slammed his fist against the door, frustration building. The ship had locked them in. They were trapped. "We can't get out," Sarah shouted, her voice rising in panic. The sound of the alien footsteps grew louder. The aliens were close. There was no time left. Alex's mind raced as he tried to think of a solution. There had to be a way out. They couldn't die here, not after everything they had fought for. Then it hit him. He glanced at the core, still glowing brightly. If they couldn't escape, they would have to use the core itself to their advantage. It was their only chance, Sarah Alex said, his voice steady. "We need to overload the core. It's the only way out." Sarah looked at him, confused. "What do you mean? Overload the core? We'll be trapped here. We don't have a choice," Alex said, his voice firm. "We're going to trigger a meltdown. It'll create an explosion big enough to blow a hole in the ship's hull. We'll be caught in the blast, but the mission will succeed. Sarah hesitated, but then she nodded. She understood. There was no other choice. It was either die trying or let humanity fall. Let's do it, Sarah said. Determination in her eyes, Alex moved quickly, using the last of his strength to override the system. He punched in the code to trigger an overload, his heart racing as the core began to glow brighter. The alien footsteps were now just outside the door. They had seconds. Get ready, Alex yelled, pulling Sarah behind him. The rest of the team quickly moved into position, one ready for the final act. The core hummed louder, its energy building to a dangerous crescendo. The ship shook as if it were screaming in agony. The ground beneath their feet trembled, and the walls began to crack. The ship was reacting to the overload, and it was going to explode. Alex turned to Sarah, his eyes locking with hers. For a brief moment, time seemed to slow down. He saw everything they had fought for, their training, their sacrifices, their friendship, and he knew this was their moment. It would all come down to this. Let's make sure humanity survives, Alex said, his voice filled with resolve. The final seconds ticked away, and the ship began to shudder violently. The explosion was imminent. Outside, the alien ships hovered silently above the Earth. The skies had darkened with the presence of the invaders, and it seemed like humanity's time had run out. But as the massive core of the alien ship began to overload, bright light erupted from the ship, blinding and powerful. The explosion sent a shockwave through the alien fleet. One by one, the ships began to lose power. Their shields flickered and failed, and they dropped from the sky like falling stars. The invaders had been caught off guard. They had underestimated humanity's resilience. They paid the price. In the command center back on Earth, General Carter and his team watched in disbelief as the alien ships began to fall from the sky. The power of the blast was so great that it had crippled the entire fleet. It worked. General Carter whispered, his voice full of awe. They did it. But the victory came at a cost. The team, including Alex and Sarah, was lost. Their names would go down in history as the heroes who sacrificed everything for the survival of humanity. As the alien ships crashed to the Earth, the world watched in stunned silence. Humanity had been given a second chance. And it was all thanks to the bravery of those who dared to fight back against impossible odds. The mission was a success. The invaders had been defeated, and humanity had survived. But the price of victory was steep. The heroes who had given everything for the future of Earth would never be forgotten. Their legacy would live on in the hearts of those they had saved. A reminder that even in the face of the darkest threats, humanity's spirit would never be broken.